Hi everyone, welcome back to Blue Mile Wave Studio. Today, I will explain how I spent 10 years mining Herkimer diamonds and here's what I discovered. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. These stones were soon named Herkimer Diamonds, a nod to both their diamond-like appearance and the county where they were found. Now, Herkimer itself was named after General Nicholas Herkimer, a Revolutionary War hero who played a pivotal role in the 1777 Battle of Oriskany. His name, tied to both military history and local geography, would become forever linked with these geological treasures. Throughout the 19th century, Herkimer diamonds remained somewhat of a regional curiosity. Geologists from the Northeast, particularly from Yale and Harvard, began collecting and studying the crystals, trying to understand their unique formation. Some early collectors speculated that they might be fossilized water droplets, or perhaps early diamond imposters. One geologist, Dr. James Dwight Dana, a pioneer of American mineralogy, studied these crystals in the mid-1800s and helped formally classify them as quartz. Dana's work, published in the System of Mineralogy in 1837, became a foundational reference for future generations of mineralogists. Meanwhile, local miners and hobbyists began to exploit the dollarstone bedrock, extracting crystals by hand. These weren't large-scale operations. Instead, they resembled family outings or seasonal projects, farmers turning to the rocks when their fields lay fallow. These early miners used rudimentary tools, iron chisels, wooden wedges, and long steel bars called spud bars, to split open the dollarstone and search for the hollow cavities, or vugs, where the crystals formed. It was hard, physical labor, often done in the open under hot summer sun or autumn winds. One wrong strike with the hammer could shatter a crystal before it was ever removed. In fact, part of what made these mining efforts so delicate was that Herkimer diamonds grow inside solid rock but form in open cavities. That means the surrounding stone must be split with patience and skill to extract the crystal intact. Unlike gemstones that are buried in loose soil or gravel beds, Herkimer diamonds are locked inside some of the hardest sedimentary rock, dollarstone, a type of magnesium-rich limestone that has compacted and hardened for hundreds of millions of years. The rock itself formed during the Cambrian period, over 500 million years ago, when a shallow tropical sea covered what is now New York State. As marine sediment settled and hardened, microbial activity and decaying organic matter created gas pockets in the limestone. These became the cavities where quartz-rich hydrothermal fluids eventually crystallized over millions of years, forming the perfect geometry we see in Herkimer diamonds today. As the 19th century progressed, Herkimer diamonds gained modest popularity. During the Victorian era, some were set into handmade jewelry used in spiritual or religious rituals, or collected as geological specimens by amateur naturalists and academics. It wasn't until the late 1800s that organized efforts at commercial mining began. One notable operation was the Pinnacle Rock Mining Company, established in the 1870s. Their site, located near Middleville, became a hub of activity as laborers tried to extract enough crystals to meet growing demand. By then, the railroad had come through, and shipments of Herkimer diamonds could be sent to cities like Albany, New York City, and even Boston. Some were marketed as American diamonds, and sold as low-cost alternatives to the real thing. However, despite their beauty and the mythos surrounding them, Herkimer diamonds never truly took off in the global gemstone market. Part of the reason was scientific honesty. Mineralogists were quick to clarify that these were quartz, not actual carbon-based diamonds. That label, while geographically accurate and evocative, created confusion among buyers and jewelers alike. Even so, the mystique of Herkimer diamonds continued to grow. In 1888, a mineralogical journal wrote, "Nowhere in the world does nature produce quartz crystals with such natural clarity, termination, and harmony of form. Their very existence is a tribute to the slow and delicate processes of geological time." By the turn of the 20th century, Herkimer diamonds were considered both geological marvels and cultural artifacts. They appeared in museum collections, academic publications, and were even displayed at the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893 in Chicago. To this day, some of the tools used in early Herkimer mining operations can be found in small museums and historical societies across New York State. Simple, rugged, and built to last, these tools, like the crystals themselves, represent a legacy carved in stone. And while technology has certainly changed the way we mine today, much of the process remains rooted in those early traditions: pickaxes, chisels, and the thrill of finding something ancient hidden within the rock. So when you hold a Herkimer diamond in your hand, you're not just holding a mineral. You're holding a piece of American history, one that ties frontier grit, scientific curiosity, and natural wonder into a single, sparkling point of light. To understand the true wonder of Herkimer diamonds, we have to rewind the clock, not by decades or centuries, but by 500 million years. That's 500 million years ago, deep into the Cambrian period, when the Earth was a very different place. The region that we now know as Herkimer County, New York, wasn't landlocked or forested. It was part of a vast, shallow, tropical sea. This inland sea stretched across much of what is now the northeastern United States and parts of Canada, bathed in sunlight and teeming with primitive marine life, trilobites, brachiopods, and microbial mats. At the bottom of this sea, sediments began to accumulate, layer upon layer of fine-grained carbonate muds, mixed with organic material from decaying marine life. Over millions of years, the pressure from these accumulating layers compressed the mud into a soft sedimentary rock known as limestone. But the story doesn't end there. These limestone layers underwent a chemical transformation known as dolomitization. This happens when magnesium-rich seawater interacts with the calcium carbonate in the limestone, replacing some of the calcium atoms with magnesium. This results in a new, more durable rock, dolostone. The particular formation that houses Herkimer diamonds is called the Little Falls dolostone. It's a dense, grayish rock that stretches through the Mohawk Valley and beyond, acting as a kind of geological time capsule. Within this dolostone, an extraordinary set of events took place. As microbial mats decomposed and organic matter broke down within the sediments, they released gases, primarily carbon dioxide and methane. These gases formed small pockets or voids, what geologists call vugs, within the solidifying rock. These voids became the future homes of the Herkimer diamonds. But creating an empty space isn't enough to grow a crystal. Something more was needed: silica-rich fluids. As tectonic forces shifted the Earth's crust over hundreds of millions of years, hydrothermal fluids, hot, mineral-laden waters, began to percolate through fractures in the rock. These fluids carried dissolved silica, or SiO, along with trace elements such as carbon, iron, and hydrocarbons. When these fluids entered the vugs, the change in pressure and temperature caused the silica to precipitate out of solution. Molecule by molecule, the quartz crystals began to grow, slowly and precisely, guided by natural laws of geometry and chemistry. And this is where Herkimer diamonds distinguish themselves from regular quartz. Most quartz crystals form with a single termination, because they grow outward from a surface, such as a wall of a rock cavity or another mineral base. But in Herkimer County, the vugs were often fully enclosed, allowing crystals to grow freely in suspension, untouched by surrounding rock. This rare condition led to the development of double-terminated crystals, meaning they formed natural points on both ends. These crystals are remarkably symmetrical and geometrically complex. Each has 18 natural facets, 6 around the middle, 6 on each termination. They often form in clusters, twin formations, or even with skeletal growth patterns, depending on the exact fluid chemistry and growth conditions inside the cavity. Some crystals are perfectly clear, resembling cut gemstones straight from the earth. Others contain fascinating inclusions, tiny bubbles of ancient water or hydrocarbons, microscopic particles of hematite or pyrite, and sometimes black organic matter called anthraxolite, which may be remnants of the ancient life that once filled the Cambrian seas. In rare cases, these inclusions become what are known as anhydros, tiny, trapped pockets of water that have been sealed inside the crystal for hundreds of millions of years. When moved, you can see a bubble shift back and forth inside the quartz, a literal window into the deep past. These crystals grew over millions of years, in conditions of extraordinary stability. It's likely that the hydrothermal events responsible for their formation occurred in multiple pulses, meaning the crystal growth may have stopped and restarted several times throughout geological history. Some Herkimer diamonds also show phantoms, ghost-like outlines of earlier stages of growth, preserved as faint lines or zones within the crystal body. These phantoms are like rings in a tree trunk, revealing a timeline of the crystal's development. From a mineralogical standpoint, Herkimer diamonds are chemically identical to common quartz. Their formula is SiO, and they rank about 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, making them durable but not as hard as true diamonds, which rank at 10. But structurally and visually, they are exceptional. One key to their extraordinary clarity is the purity of the hydrothermal fluids that formed them. In many parts of the world, quartz is clouded by iron or aluminum impurities. But in the case of Herkimer diamonds, the fluids were exceptionally clean, and the growth environment was remarkably stable, resulting in some of the clearest natural quartz on Earth. And it's worth noting, not all quartz deposits produce double-terminated crystals. That's why Herkimer diamonds are not just quartz, they are a geological rarity. While similar formations occur in places like Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Mexico, the clarity, symmetry, and consistency found in Herkimer County remain unmatched. What we're looking at here is not just a mineral, it's a geological miracle, crafted over eons by the delicate interplay of chemistry, heat, pressure, and time. Imagine it, a crystal, locked inside solid rock, undisturbed for 500 million years, formed in a cavity the size of a thumb, by processes we're only just beginning to fully understand. That's the power of Herkimer diamonds. They are both ancient artifacts and scientific marvels, born not in a furnace, but in a watery, slow-moving world beneath our feet. Every time you crack open a piece of dollarstone and reveal one, you're not just mining. You're opening a time capsule from the Cambrian Sea, a perfectly preserved memory of Earth's distant past, captured in shimmering quartz. So, the next time you hold a Herkimer diamond up to the light and see it sparkle, remember, you're not just looking at a pretty stone. You're witnessing the legacy of 500 million years of Earth's history, crafted not by human hands, but by the slow and powerful artistry of geology itself. Welcome to Herkimer Diamond Mines in Herkimer County, New York, a small region with a big secret buried in stone. Here, among the trees and rolling terrain of the Mohawk Valley, something extraordinary lies beneath our feet. Hidden within these rugged outcrops of ancient rock are gems that predate the dinosaurs. This is the home of the Herkimer Diamond. But don't let the word diamond fool you. These aren't mined in deep shafts or high-security facilities. You won't find conveyor belts, heavy machinery, or steel elevators here. Instead, the tools of the trade are rock hammers, wedges, and old-fashioned determination. The process is almost timeless. The rock they're striking is dollarstone, a dense, sedimentary rock that's been around for over 500 million years. This dollarstone belongs to the Little Falls Formation, a relic of a Cambrian seafloor that once stretched across what is now upstate New York. It's this precise formation that holds one of nature's most fascinating creations, the Herkimer Diamond, a double-terminated quartz crystal unlike any other. Mining for Herkimer diamonds is a uniquely hands-on experience. Whether you're a professional miner or a weekend enthusiast, the method is the same: break open dollarstone, find the voids inside, called vugs, and hope to discover a crystal formed in perfect stillness eons ago. It all starts with understanding the stone. Dollarstone isn't just hard, it's resilient, compressed over millions of years by the weight of ancient seas and geological shifts. And it's riddled with fractures, some naturally formed, others created through weathering and pressure release. The experienced miner knows where to look. They trace these fractures like veins of a map, seeking out where rock can be split cleanly. Once a promising crack is found, the work becomes surgical. A rock hammer or sledge is used to drive steel chisels into the crack. Spud bars, long heavy rods, help lift or pry larger pieces. Safety is critical. Goggles, gloves, and careful technique protect the miner from flying shards. With enough patience, the dollarstone opens, revealing small caverns inside. Some are empty. Others hold treasure. Inside these cavities are crystals that appear impossibly perfect, glassy, clear, and often already faceted by nature. They may be isolated or occur in clusters, twins, skeletal growths, or druzy coatings. Some are as small as a grain of rice, others as large as a fist. It's tempting to think that smashing rocks is just about brute strength. But true Herkimer mining is a blend of intuition, geological understanding, and finesse. Each rock split is a gamble. Crack the dollarstone too hard, and you risk shattering the crystal inside. Strike too soft, and you waste hours achieving nothing. The miner must balance force and subtlety, interpreting the signs of the rock like a code. Professional miners often describe a kind of rhythm to it. Sound and vibration guide their hands. A dull thud may indicate a dead end. A resonant ping may suggest a hollow pocket inside. And once found, the pocket must be carefully pried open without disturbing the fragile crystal within. Today, Herkimer diamonds are found across several sites in the county, each with its own character. The most famous and visitor-friendly is the Herkimer Diamond Mines KOA Resort, a unique location combining education, tourism, and geology. Nearby is the Ace of Diamonds mine, another popular spot with seasoned diggers. And then there are smaller, more rugged claims spread across the region, often operated by private owners and accessed by permit. The common thread among them is the Little Falls dollarstone, which surfaces across this zone. The presence of dollarstone doesn't guarantee crystals, but where the conditions were just right, you may uncover pockets that have lain sealed since long before the Appalachian Mountains even existed. Unlike traditional mining industries that rely on deep drilling or heavy excavation, Herkimer diamond mining is public-facing and educational. It invites participation. Visitors from all over the world come here to spend a day, or several, mining their own crystals. Some bring children, eager for a hands-on lesson in earth science. Others are lapidary artists, spiritual seekers, or geology enthusiasts. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Herkimer diamonds, hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if you've ever mined one yourself. Next time, I will give you guys something extraordinary. See you then.
Subscribe for more videos like this.